Recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Price. We are so thrilled to see you back with us today. In the fiscal year 2018 budget, it states that a goal of the department will be to reduce burdensome regulations. And I want to thank you for stating that explicitly, because there are two burdensome and unnecessary regulations that folks in Kansas need help with as soon as possible. I know you're familiar with them from your time on our committee. The first priority is to address a 2010 regulation issued by CMS in compliance with the Affordable Care Act that required outpatient therapeutic services to be directly supervised by physicians. While that may not sound so burdensome for many urban hospitals, the rule applied only to critical access hospitals which serve rural communities. And these hospitals can't afford to keep a doctor on staff at all times, and many can't afford to have a doctor on staff more than a couple of days a week. Kansas, as you know, has the most critical access hospitals of any state, and so suffers from the threat of this rule every year. In my district alone, there are 26 critical access hospitals struggling with this very regulation. Since 2014, I've introduced a temporary bill every year, worked with members of both parties to gain enough support to place them on the suspension calendar, worked with senators of both parties to get support for annual legislative fixes introduced there as well, and every year a temporary fix is passed into law. But then the process starts all over again come the next January. Can you pledge to work with me to permanently fix this problem?
Well, thank you, Ms. Jenkins, and you and I have spoken about this before. I know the challenge that exists in rural America, especially in critical access hospitals, and our goal is to make certain that the patients are able to receive the kind of care that they need in those hospitals in a timely fashion with appropriate personnel, and your issue is very, very pertinent, and we are in the process of looking at it as we speak.
Thank you. We'll look forward to working with you on that. The second issue relates to the many hospital-based nursing programs that provide accredited training for nurses. Several years ago, and without warning, CMS changed the standards for those programs to receive funding on a pass-through basis, and the new standard presents a catch-22 that does not allow them to remain accredited if they want to receive the funding from CMS. In my congressional district alone, this leaves Stormont Vail Hospital and Baker School of Nursing in a difficult position. Again, will you just work with us to address that issue as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I really appreciate your understanding of these priorities and the limited time given to discuss them with you today. I really look forward to working with you on these and other issues. And Mr. Chairman, with that, I would yield back.
Thank you, Ms.